In this breaking story, British media just wrecked Donald Trump's night with a brutal new expose. That's right, this is absolutely bizarre and deeply concerning. How's it going, everybody? Hunter Avalone here with Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video. Now, speaking of deeply concerning, that is Donald Trump's administration to a T.
48-year-old men, do you know, who invite 14-year-old girls to their parties? Jeffrey Epstein did that, and so did the 48-year-old Donald Trump. The New York Times reports that Donald Trump held parties at his home in Florida where he invited 14-year-old girls. Tina Davis, who worked with Ford models in the mid-1990s, said in an interview that her Ford booker instructed her to get dressed up and attend a Mar-a-Lago party in late 1994. Just 14 and new to Miami, she was told to dress sexy, according to her mother, Sandra Coleman, who had accompanied her to Florida. 8 or 9 other models came along on the bus. All the girls were really young, Ms. Coleman recalled in an interview. Some of them could have been in training bras. When they arrived at Mar-a-Lago, Ms. Coleman said her daughter was promptly handed a glass of champagne. She took it away, but waiters kept offering more. Each time one of the middle-aged men at the party approached her daughter, Ms. Coleman would walk over and introduce herself as Ms. Davis's mother. During a trip to the bathroom, they ran into Mr. Trump's new wife, whom they had met earlier. Marla Maples clasped her hands, Ms. Coleman recalled, and looked her in the eye. Whatever you do, do not let her around any of these men, and especially my husband, she told Ms. Coleman. Protect her.
And more people are voicing their obvious disdain for this administration.
The president has a history of nominating or appointing officials with racist beliefs, including Paul Ingrassia and Carl Higbee. The architects of Project 2025 also have a very well-documented history of writing racist statements or activity. And I won't repeat all of them here, but I do have a visual right behind me with just a couple of examples, including assertions that Black people and immigrants have lower IQs than white citizens. We've known for a while that individuals differ in their inherent capabilities, that racists do too, with whites and Asians on the top and blacks on the bottom. That was from Richard Hamania, contributor to Project 2025. How about this one? The ceaseless importation of third world foreigners with no tradition of, taste for, or experience in liberty means that the electorate grows more left and less traditionally American, whatever that means, with every cycle.
But there's something darker lurking beneath the surface. That's right, British media just exposed Donald Trump and ruined his night. Take a look at this.
Well, this morning, Komsomolskaya Pravda has no doubt where Donald Trump's true sympathies lie. Based on America's new national security strategy, the paper concludes, America no longer sees our country as a threat. The threat is now militaristic Europe. The American leader's philosophy is closer to the values of the president of Russia, not to the politicians of the old world. For Donald, Russia is no enemy. It is a possible partner in future joint projects because he understands a clash between two nuclear powers means the apocalypse. But Europe he sees as a liberal stronghold that must be destroyed to make America great again. President Trump is often referred to in the Russian tabloids simply as Donald, very friendly. Contrast that with how the same paper talks about President Zelensky as the illegitimate Ukrainian president, while today's edition of the army newspaper Krasnaya Zvezda, Red Star, calls European leaders Russophobic politicians of the old world, Moscow making its sympathies crystal clear. Kommersant writes that 2025 heralded a new chapter in Russian-US relations. Izvestia is confident that Trump will pressure Kiev to end the conflict as soon as possible. Talking of pressure, the Russian economy continues to be under a lot of that right now. As Nezavisime Gazeta reports today, industry has entered a perfect storm. The task for 2026 will be to live with that. New problems will be added to existing ones. Tax increases outstripping the rise in tariffs, a shortage of working capital, and a growing crisis of non-payments. What's more, in the new year, there will be a noticeable indexation of utility tariffs in Russia. The increase will inevitably be painfully received. The same paper points out that financial market analysts predict that in 2026 investments in key sectors of the economy will decrease. This will happen in the oil, gas and chemical industries, as well as in mechanical engineering, excluding car production. The largest companies in these industries will naturally also significantly reduce their investment budgets. The deficit of budget financing will affect agriculture. There are financial problems in the energy and coal industries. Kommersant reminds readers that from the new year, VAT will rise to 22% from 20%. That's on account of Russia's budget deficit. Meanwhile, Moskovsky Komsomolets reports that debts will prevent Russians from travelling abroad. More than 850,000 residents of Moscow and Moscow region will not be able to travel abroad. And it's not sanctions or geopolitical conflicts that are to blame, but run-of-the-mill debts, unpaid fines, overdue loans, or unpaid alimony. Russians with such debts are banned from leaving the country. The Russian government paper Rossiyskaya Gazeta tries to put a brave face on the state of the economy. It was a difficult year, but it could have been worse. It's pretty bad for the coal industry, though. According to the Ministry of Energy, 3/4 of the country's coal enterprises are unprofitable.
Thanks so much for watching. Please click that like button and subscribe to Occupy Democrats so that you can stay informed and help us stop Donald Trump.